Yeah, g'day everyone and welcome back to the Gold Coast Titans Frontline podcast. We're now live all over social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're joining us. We are a live show and we do want to see those comments roll in. Let's welcome in our co-host as always, Russ. How are you going, my friend? Great to get a win.
Oh, a lot better this week, aren't we, Clarkey?
100%.
Great result
100%.
on the weekend, mate. Yeah, very much, very happy as a Titans fan this week, that's for sure.
I mean, anytime you go from conceding 40 points to, in this case, only conceding 6, and you and I were talking during the game, and we were like, "Oh, it sucks they even got 1." So that shows how high our standard was for this game.
We really wanted to keep them to 0. I know that, but my whole thing was for halftime. Last week, I said I wanted to complete 5 sets. Not close. The week before, we lost the game in the first 20 minutes, so I was happy to have a half and not concede a point. I was like, that's awesome. Then we'll get greedy going. Let's try and go the whole game. And they did score in the last 10 minutes or so. But, mate, you'll take that. You'll take that for sure.
100%. We've got AJ in the house, a proud member of the Frontline. He says, how good was Kenny, looking like a top 5 fullback in the game? Damn, he was good, wasn't he, Russ? Let's jump straight into grading our performance. I'll go straight to you. What grade are you going to give us with our victory over the Knights?
We have stuff to work on. Like, we still made a lot of errors. I'm going to say we're a B+.
I'm going B.
A B, yeah?
Yeah, so I'm just slightly lower than you, but these are the main reasons why I've got a B. It does seem kind of low when you consider we were pretty dominant in that game. But
we were dominant, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's genuinely a compliment, though, because I think we can be even better again. If I was going to come out and say I was an A+, then you kind of go, okay, well, if that's our cap, we're probably not going to trouble the best sides. But I don't think we were anywhere near an A for a number of reasons, but we'll get into that specifically in our game review. But B for me, in a good way, that I was super impressed, but I know we've got more to build towards an A. Anything further from yourself before we jump into our game review?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, we did versus the Knights. They hadn't had a loss, but I feel like they hadn't really played a top 8 team yet. Would we have done that against a team like Penrith or Broncos or Sharks, one of those top-end teams? We're probably not beating them 26-6. We'd need to take it one step further, but we're definitely on the right path.
100%, man. Let's go into our game review. We defeat the Newcastle Knights 26 points to 6. And I want to start defensively here in our recap, Russ, because we conceded 40 points last round. That drops to just 6 this round. And I think when you look at the improvement in this side from rounds 2 and 3, that immediately stands out to me. Did it stand out to you also?
That is like our number one thing this week. We've always been able to score points. I've said it for the last 2 weeks. It's never been our problem. We still put 26 on the board, but I feel like Des was the whole week was going defense, defense, defense. Complete your sets, defense, defense, and it showed. Like our goal line defense, we'll put in really good. Our goal line defense was so good that we made the Knights like do so many unforced errors. They dropped the ball so many times. I think they had 17 errors. And we defended the line in the first half, like our own end, and we did it really well. So
Andrew Curry jumps in on Facebook and he says the Knights made 18 errors and that helped Titans big time.
18, there you go.
I actually think that we were defensively poor in some areas because coming into this game, I actually didn't think the Knights would get much territory. I thought we'd kind of roll them in the middle and they'd be stuck in their own end, missing Kai Pearce-Paul, Dylan Lucas, and Leo Thompson, 3 of their best forwards. But
yeah.
I actually think the Knights made those errors because we were scrambling really well. Like, we would miss a tackle and every single Titan was like, get to the ball. And we were putting that pressure on. So when the Knights player got the ball, they were like, oh my God, this is not the Titan side I'm used to. And they kind of pushed the pass when they shouldn't have. So although the Knights certainly, came up with quite a few errors, I think that we were a big part of that with our defense because it wasn't perfect.
100%. I think we still made about, how many missed tackles? We made about 40 missed tackles, didn't we?
Yeah, AJ says we missed 45
missed tackles to their 39. But our scrambled defense, it didn't matter if someone fell off. That we had like the scrambled defense, we were still there to make the tackles. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's something we definitely have to work on. But as a whole, we were actually working out as a unit, and the defense was working. So
it was. And if I can just go back to round 1 as well, when the Tigers played the Knights, they missed 60 tackles and they only conceded 2 tries. So we missed less than that. And, we conceded the 1 try. So we're pretty on par with another side in the Tigers that's shown plenty of improvement in their opening games as well. I got down 23 ineffective tackles, which was also more than the Knights. But I just don't think you would have known it due to our defensive desire. Like, it's not going to show up in the stat sheet that 1 player missed a tackle and 2 sprinted to save him and make sure that they didn't take advantage. That's not going to show up in fantasy, super coach, all that, but it passes the eye test. Like, I was
100%,
visually
100%.
pleased with our defense there. I thought the Knights, they weren't at their best. I think we've got to admit that. They definitely weren't at their best, but I think we were quick to shut it down. We pressured their offloads into errors, and I simply love that part of our game in this one. As I said, it won't show up in the stats sheet, mate, but really, really pleasing. Anything else from yourself?
I think we dominated them through the forwards. Straight up, like you said, they were missing Leo Thompson. They were missing Dylan Lucas. But, like, our first try come off a big run from Tino. It was about the 20th minute or something. Like, we were defending. And then Tino offload to Jaden Campbell, to Kinney, to Jojo Fafita. And I knew, I was like, that's how we're going to score. That is, we got quick players, and it's going to come off a Tino offload, a Dave Fafita offload, and it's exactly how the first try came about.
Yeah, it was in two ways though with how our forwards dominated, because I felt defensively the Knights were still getting down the other end, so we didn't quite dominate them in that aspect of the game. But you're right, every time we had the ball, our forwards just rolled through them as well.
Yeah.
It was like a game of touch footy end to end.
Yeah.
But when I look at our offense, that's actually where I draw most of the negatives, I would say, that I referenced a little bit earlier with my grading. Now, I did like most parts of our attack. I thought we took our chances. We played to the Titans game plan. We recognize we don't have a game managing half at the moment, so we need to be a bit more creative. Our forwards built that momentum and ascendancy up the middle, but I just don't think our spine connected that well. I thought Sammy Veras was a little hesitant on when he should run. I didn't see Brimson and Campbell link up all that much, but both were great individually. I just don't remember, and Kinney as well, actually. Let me add Kinney in that mix too, Russ. He had huge individual efforts.
Yeah.
But I never really remember too many backline shifts where all three were involved. Whereas when we look at the Panthers, when they're at their best, we always saw it was clear.
All three of them are touching the ball, yeah.
Exactly. Then he'd find Luai. Then he'd find Edwards. And I don't think we had that part in our game.
I think that will come back.
I hope so.
Like, you've got to think, this is only the second game they've played as a spine like that. Like, this is still a work in progress for us. Like, AJ and Jaden Campbell, they haven't played in the halves that much. So I think that will come. I actually think Jaden Campbell had probably one of his better games. Like, honestly, his kicking game was a lot better this week. He was running the ball freely, set up a try, scored one himself. I think he had a really good game. Brimson was a bit on the quieter side, but I feel like it'll gel.
Brimson's the sort of player too that he just brings effort every week. So even when he doesn't have his best game, it's not far around the corner.
100%.
Clint Kelly from Facebook says, I'd rather Mo kick on fifth than AJ. He looks like a baby giraffe. It's awkward as. I actually think our long kicking game through JC was good, but there was also 3 kicks JC did. I think it was 3, maybe it was 2. But man, they were sitters for the Knights, and they came out to the 20. And what kind of frustrated me there was we were attacking their try line, and we finished the set defending our try line. So it was a big momentum switch, right?
Yeah, I know the kick you're talking about went straight over to the right-hand side to Greg Marzu. There was no one around him.
Yes, and I think by the end of the game, do you remember that time when we had Dave Fafita on the short side on the right, and it was 5th tackle, and Jaden's meant to receive the ball to put in the kick, and he actually points and goes, no, go the short side. So I think because we were close and he'd stuffed up a few kicks, he was like, I don't want to stuff up.
He was a bit hesitant about putting another kick in. Yeah.
But you know what the best thing about that is, mate? You look at round 2, we were poor defensively. We went back to training, worked on it, corrected it. And I've got no doubt that, we've got a coaching staff that is Des Hasler, who was a halfback himself.
He's defense. He's a defense coach, but he's massive on defense. Like, we know that. So it's going to come. It's going to click. It did click on the weekend, but I feel like this is our year where defense is our big thing. And it has to be.
Certainly. But I think, in terms of Jaden Campbell developing his halfback skills, if you were to have a few rough kicks and you go back to training, you still got Kieran Foran there who's injured at the moment, Carter Gordon who's played for the Wallabies, and then Des Hasler. So there's enough experience around you to kind of help you out a little bit there. So, I suspect JC was a little bit hesitant and nervous with that kick, but apart from that, he had some really great touches in attack, and he was awesome. And I just think as well, 26 points is solid for a spine that didn't click all that often. I'm not suggesting we were disjointed, but we certainly didn't have as many backline plays as I thought we would. So there's actually a positive there. I'll go to you for your final thoughts, mate. Put a bow on this one and wrap it all up for us, please.
I just feel like it's exactly what the Titans needed. We lost by 40 the week before. We definitely needed a win there. First home game. I think it gives all the Titans fans a lot more confidence. I feel like yeah, it's exactly what we needed. And if we keep going on that path, working on our defense, like you were saying about the halves, I feel like that'll come. This is just a step in the right direction for us as a club.
100%. It was a step in the right direction. We're getting the ladder, and that's ultimately all that matters. If we were to play finals this year, no one's going to look back at round 3 and remember this victory. It's just going to be another one along the journey. Right. Cheese 311 from YouTube. He says both 6 and 7 cannot kick on the 5th. This is where we need Carter Gordon, but we hope he recovers quick. And that's a big news point this week that we should talk about. Carter Gordon's back injury is much worse than first reported.
Yeah, he might not play all year, eh?
Yeah, he couldn't get out of bed for 2 weeks straight. Yeah. So, well, let's skip the technicalities and just, in a non-medical sense, talk about what happened. His spine vertebrae had a leak of fluid, and that caused immense pain, back spasms, and it's looking like he's going to be out long term. So that is super unfortunate for us, man.
Poor guy, first season, can't even get a game, and that's not good.
And the other unfortunate thing is, of course, Kieran Foran injured as well. So they are 2 of our genuine halves options. And
he came out and said he's looking around round 8, but so he's ahead of schedule, and it's about round 8, round 9. So that'll be good to have him on the bench. Yeah,
absolutely agree. Kieran Foran, when he played 9 for the Kiwis in that Pacific Championship game, was awesome. He played in a middle role there. He played hooker, and I think he's definitely up for it. But I just think, to put my final bow on it, Russ, let's celebrate this victory this week as Titans fans. It was absolutely sensational to be the best defensive side in the NRL for a round. I don't think we've said that all too often over the past, going back to 2007. But I do think we saw some weaker spots that we still need to work on, which is why I just want to caution Titans fans. Let's not get too far out of ourselves. It was an awesome win, but we've got to stay behind this team and keep backing them up. Let's move into our 3-2-1s, brother. Hit me with who gets your 3-2-1s from this one.
I had to have a bit of a thought on this one, bit of a think. I am going to give the 3 points. I thought Beau Fermor was amazing. He was very strong. I'm pretty sure you picked him anytime try scorer last week as well, and he crossed over. Was it me or you? One of us picked him.
One of us picked him, and it was it was a barge over try. I was watching on telly, man, and it looked like he got dragged back, and I was like, damn, that was close. And then he got celebrating, and I was like, "Oh my god, he's over!"
On him, it was a great try, but just his efforts all game. I thought last week he was good as well. I'm going to give him the 3 points. 2 points, I'm giving it Tino for obvious reasons. He's just been a beast. And for 1 point, I'm actually going to give raps to Sammy Verrills. I actually think it was the best game he had in the Titans colours. He made 41 tackles. He set up 1 try from dummy half. I feel like he was pretty good. A lot better game from Sammy Verrills.
It's interesting for Sammy too, because we all look at him as an offensive hooker, but he actually does have a real quality defensive side to his game. My 3-2-1, 3 points. I went our skipper, Tino. Just a captain's knock. He came off for a short break in the first half, came straight back on and got back to work. Yeah. I think he would have had up there with the most meters for us. I just loved his effort there, leading by example. 2 points, I went Keanu Kinney. Now, he had 20 runs, and I thought his runs were really important because when we talk about our forwards getting over the line, over the advantage line and getting us momentum, he was a big part of that because he was coming in and having those early runs and giving our forwards a bit of a break. And that leads me to my 1 point. I went to Phil Sammy, which I think would have flown under the radar for a lot of people.
He's doing a lot of meters, man. He ran 200 last week, ran over 200 again this week. He's doing the hard work.
And he had 23 runs, which was the most of any player in our team. So I just loved how him and Kinney really came in, gave our forwards a blower, and made sure we could keep that rolling there. All righty, let's move into our affiliates recap. The Burleigh Bears defeat our Tweed Seagulls 30 points to 28, so a very tight loss there. And the Ipswich Jets defeat I've got Brisbane Broncos in my notes. The, what are they called? East Tigers, no, they are the Brisbane Tigers, aren't they now? They defeat the Brisbane Tigers 34 points to 20. Sorry there, guys. So Tweed now sit in 6th, and the Jets sit in 7th. In terms of how our Tweed players went, Tommy Weaver, 92 metres and a try assist, so nice to see him running the ball and setting others up. Tukey Simpkins, 15 hit-ups, 150 metres, 32 tackles, so safe and consistent from the big fella, keeps pressing his case for a first-grade debut with us. Jacob Arlick-Winky, 1 try, 135 metres, 2 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, 25 tackles, mate. Who do you think was your standout from our Tweed players this week?
Well, sounds like Jacob again. He had a try last week, a try this week. He's making good numbers, good offloads, good meters. He's got to be pushing get another run soon off the bench, eh? If there's an injury, I'm pretty sure he'll be the first one called up.
I think so. Yeah, I think he's probably at the top of our depth for forwards at the moment. He's shown a lot of promise, though, for so many years and just hasn't quite broken through. So you never want to hope for injuries to anyone else, but Lord forbid if we do have injuries or suspensions, I really hope Jacob can come in and make the most of it this year. And I also like Tukey Simpkins. Last week we saw the offloads, the tackle breaks, the more flashier side. This was clearly a tougher game. We went down by 2 points to the Burleigh Bears, who have a lot of Brisbane Broncos players in their side, and he just did the hard yards, so I appreciate that there. Over to our Jets players, Russ, we had Jalen de Groot with a try assist in 100 metres. Alan Fitzgibbon, who a lot of people thought should have came in instead of Tony, 166 metres for the big fella, a line break assist and 3 offloads. Big Arama Howe, he scored a try, had 5 tackle breaks and 23 tackles himself. And Ryan Foran being used as a lock this year by the Jets. He had 55 metres, 1 tackle break and 27 tackles. Kenny Mamalo came off the bench. He only had 22 minutes there. Next round, our feeder clubs play each other 5 p.m.
Oh, there we go. On
the Sunday at Ipswich. So we'll only be reviewing one game there, but it will be interesting to see our players come up against each other. And on our young guns quickly as well, Big Cooper Bai. He is Marcus Bai's son, a premiership winner with the Melbourne Storm. He scored for us in the Tweed Malmaninga Cup, and Zane Harrison perfect on the goal, kicking 3 out of 3 as they collect a victory as well. So overall, pretty good week for our affiliates. I was going
to ask you how Zane Harrison went on the weekend, because we all know there's big props on him, and he will probably be playing in the near future for us. So we got to keep wraps on him.
Yeah, we definitely need to keep an eye on Zane. You never want to pressure a young fella, but I see him being like a Lachlan Galvin, someone who comes straight into grade and just immediately doesn't look out of place. But because I'm expecting those big things, Russ, we need to be careful, because if I'm absolutely honest with you, we rushed Kane Elgey, we rushed Ash Taylor, we rushed Tanner Boyd, and we rushed Toby Sexton. And the key theme there is, Elgey retired young. Taylor retired young, and then came back for the Warriors. And we lost Tanner, and we lost Toby, who broke the record this round for the
1,000 metres.
Yeah.
1,000 metres in one game. That's crazy, isn't it? Because most kickers are like 300 metres in a game, 400 metres. He kicked for 1,000.
That's a kilometre of kicks.
That's crazy.
Shout out to Toby, former Titan there. We wish he had broke that record with us, but once a Titan, always a Titan. Alrighty, our next segment here, any changes to the team list? If you guys are listening to this as a podcast after the live show, then at the time we're recording, team lists are out just about 23 hours from now. No injuries to report from this game, and a win is a win, but I'll still ask you, any changes you'd like to see?
Well, Loffy's still a couple of weeks off. He's 4 weeks, so I don't feel like after a win like that, Des will change the team. AJ Brimson did go off with 5 minutes to go. I think that was more of a just precautionary. I can't change the team.
Yeah, I did see AJ ask that on YouTube. He said, "What did you think of the cramping issue with 10 to go?" Mate, I was like, come on, get up, AJ. Just get up from those cramps.
It was both his legs at once they were trying to get the cramps out.
Mate, he was hurting. Prime Tricker 117 says Tony Francis is out. Oh, sorry, he's saying he wants Tony Francis out, Fitzgibbon from the Jets in, and Pahulu in for Isaac Fa'asul Malawi. I don't mind the change of Josiah Pahulu coming back in. I think that's a really good one, Prime. But I do think Desi will just put the same 17 out and be consistent now that we will have a win. So I do like the changes. I just don't think Desi will go that way. Let's move into our game preview, bro. We are Friday, 6 p.m, Allianz Stadium. We're up against the Roosters, and they have 1 win and 2 losses this season. So break this one down for us. Do you think we're a genuine chance?
I've watched the 3 games for the Roosters this year. They played the first game against the Broncos. They got pumped by 50. They were absolutely terrible. You'd go, they're bottom of the table after you watching them. Then they surprised everyone and beat Penrith. No one saw that coming, and they beat Penrith. And then last week they played Warriors and looked crap again. So I just don't know. Like, if you're going on the 2 games where they didn't look good, I think we can be dominant in them in the game. I don't like their halves at all. I think their halves are terrible. I actually feel like we can go all right. It just depends on what Roosters turn up. If they turn up like the Roosters that turn up with Penrith, we're going to have to be on our A game, but I can't see a problem with us. I reckon we'll go all right.
You know what? This is the first game this year where I think we are universally a greater than 50% chance coming into it. I expect more people would tip us than they tip the Roosters, and I'm feeling pretty confident, if I'm absolutely honest. Now, hear me out on the Roosters. They have looked really poor against the Broncos, where they couldn't defend, and the Warriors, where they couldn't score points. So I'm looking at that Panthers game as a true outlier. Don't forget for Penrith, the game against the Roosters was a true sandwich spot for them. Las Vegas, the Roosters, who just lost by 50 the week before, into a grand final rematch the next week. Now, I've got no doubts that the Panthers overlooked them because it was in that tough sandwich spot there. And I just think, this is tough to say, but no one will disagree with me. We're not at the same level as the Panthers.
No.
Teams don't turn up against the Titans and go, we've got to be in our A game. We've got to make sure we get everything right. This is a real test for us. Whereas the Panthers have won 4 premierships. So it's easy to get up and test yourself against the best there. Now, it's a shorter turnaround for us, but it is only one day, and they travel back from New Zealand, so I'm okay there. I also expect us to be the fresher side. We breezed through the Knights for the most part, whereas they had a pretty tough battle with the Warriors.
Yeah,
they certainly didn't score points, but it wasn't due to a lack of effort. They just looked disjointed in attack. Probably too early to read into any season stats and bring up what we're doing versus them at this stage. But if we just go off the eye test, the Roosters have lost a lot of experience this year, and it has shown in their 2 losses. As I said, once defensively and once offensively, where they just didn't click on either end of the ball. Final point for me, last round, I thought, they were disjointed and they struggled to score points, where defense was our best attribute. And I would think coaching staff with Des Hasler would really drum into it. Okay, guys, great defense last week. It means nothing if you go out there and don't repeat it. So because they're going to be drumming that defense message into us, we saw the Roosters struggle last round to score points. I'm pretty confident we get the job done here. What about you, Russ? When you look forward to a key to victory, what's one thing you really want to see, or one way you think we win this game in particular?
Defense again, just getting our normal stuff right, doing exactly what we did in the first half of the Knights, just concentrating on completing our sets. We still made a lot of errors, so we can still definitely get better in that regards. But just completing our sets, defense on our line, just getting the fundamentals right, and I feel like we'll do all right. I honestly feel like we can beat the Roosters this week, and I feel like we can beat them by 10 points. We just got to be careful. They did bounce back after a loss. We got to make sure they don't bounce back again. They did bounce back after the first game, and Trent Robinson might go and be drum into them again, and they might bounce back. But they rely too much on Tedesco, man, right now. They've got rid of so many players, and I feel like he's doing too much. And they just look unorganized. I feel like we'll be all right.
And similar to how the Knights play with Kalen Ponga, he's their focal point of their attack. We were able to shut him down. And so we move on to the next week where the same player that we need to shut down is in the same position. Yeah. So I think we should be able to do that. Shout out J-Lad from YouTube. He notes that the Roosters won't have Connor Watson. I believe he failed his head injury assessment. Victor Radley.
He's a huge loss.
Did Victor Radley pass his?
He passed.
He'll be back. Okay.
He'll be back. Look, for me, Connor Watson's a massive loss, but
he is, because he was already their backup hooker, so now they're onto their third string hooker. Here's my key to victory. I think it's about sticking to the Titans' game plan and being consistent with how we want to play. Because we did see with the Panthers game, as good as they are, and we know they're the best team in this comp over the past 4 years, and also the Warriors last round, the Roosters aren't playing their best this year, but they can actually drag sides in to play at their level and their standard. And we've seen it consistently with lower ranked sides over the past few years. And I just think that you look at the Broncos game, and when the Broncos came into that, they knew their game plan. It was to win the middle early and do fast shifts out wide with their halves connecting, getting the inexperienced Roosters forward pack to move left and right to really fatigue them. And they stuck to that, and it was highly effective. They scored a 50 bomb on them. So my key to victory, I'm not sure if Desi is going to try to copy the Broncos game plan and say, I want early shifts, or if he's going to go the same and say, hey, I want you to go straight up the middle like you did against the Knights. But I just want to see us stick to it for 80 minutes. I really feel if we stick to our game plan for 80 minutes here, respectfully to the Roosters, I don't see a way they beat us unless we get dragged into their rubbish. And I also think, Russ, if we stick to our game plan and are really strict in how we play, they have players on their side that will get frustrated, such as Victor Radley, such as Spencer Laniu. And when we frustrate them and get them off their game, we are every chance to win this, mate. So let's move forward to try scorers. Who have you got crossing the white chalk in this game?
So I was watching the Roosters, and what side is Robert Toya and Dom Young are on the same side? That I feel like that are they on the right? They're on the same side.
Right side players.
Yeah, the right side. that's their weak side. So I'm gonna say our left side. So I'm gonna put BK in for a try.
Well, I've got Tony Francis. Now, he had some nervous touches last round, but another week in first grade under his belt, I expect a more settled approach. And as you said, we know that our left side is our danger side and the right side's their weak side. AKP can score plenty on that edge. So there's no reason Tony can't as well.
100%.
Both really great finishers. Question from YouTube from J-Lad. He says, should Dave start against the Roosters, or do you think he should come from the bench again? How do you see that?
I actually reckon Dave had a good game off the bench, and he was used a lot better. Obviously, he didn't come on it with 30 minutes to go this time. He came on at the 25-minute mark, exactly when he should have come on. We just scored. The game was sort of in the balance, but we were getting the better of him. And then Dave came on. I thought he played well. So I do feel like Des will do the same. He'll come on around that 25th minute mark. I'm pretty sure they pulled RCG off and they moved Cleese Haas through the middle. I like that. I feel like that'll, for the next couple of weeks and why it's working, Des will keep it. Don't get me wrong. I do feel that Fafita will start in the future, but at the moment, why it's working, I reckon we'll keep him as is.
Yeah, I agree. Don't mess with the winning formula. Let's keep Dave coming off the bench and really make him earn back that starting spot, because I don't think Cleese has been poor under any circumstances.
He was good last week. Like, he was good last game. Yeah.
So I want Dave to really earn that starting spot back and show the coaching staff, hey, you got to pick me. Because Cleese is certainly doing everything he can to keep it. And I just respect players that, get an opportunity and fight to keep that opportunity. No doubt Dave's the bigger player name. He's the rep player, but you got to earn things in our sport. Really good point as well on YouTube from AJ. He says he spoke to Tony after the game on Saturday, and it was actually his first 80 minutes of NRL, remembering against the Broncos at Suncorp, he hurt his shoulder in his debut and came off. So that was something that actually slipped my mind. Let's go to a final prediction. How do we get the job done here? Let me ask, how much do we get the job done by here, in your opinion?
I reckon we can win by 10 points. I reckon we'll win by 2 tries. I reckon it'll be pretty comfortable. Yeah, I just can see us winning. But I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, because we've done it before as Titans fans, and then we'll come here next week and be like, oh, what happened? So I'm being optimistic, but I don't want to. Yeah, I reckon we'll be right. Yeah,
and that's the thing with being a Titans fan, man. It's hard to bring great confidence into games because we have so many scars from the past. J-Lad, he says Titans 1-12. AJ has no such scars from the past. He says Titans 40 plus.
40 plus. I hope you're right.
Look, I've had a few beers with AJ before games, and I have seen him hit some nice multis as well. So hopefully he's on there with that one. I've got us in the 1-12 range.
Yeah,
I just
that's
think
what I've got.
that the Roosters will want a response after the Warriors loss, but I just think we can be a touch too classy for them with the losses they've got. Brody from YouTube, he believes if we shut down the Roosters hard, we will win this game. They've got strike on the outside, but if we shut them down like the Knights, we get the job done. I absolutely agree.
And I feel like the Roosters, they got a terrible, like, our kicking game's not the best. Chad Townsend's kicking game is being terrible. And if we put pressure on them again, I don't feel like their halves are gonna win them a game. I don't rate them. I think, honestly, at the moment, I feel like they got the worst halves in the comp.
Yep. It's a tough call, but I don't think you're wrong. Townsend is past his best, and Sandon Smith is still developing. Whereas at least we know for our halves, whilst they're not elite in the 5/8 and halfback position yet, they are elite players, as evidenced by Jaden Campbell having monster games for us in the past, and AJ playing Origin as well. So shout out to Bailey Campbell from YouTube as well. He says Titans 13 plus, our pack is too classy. But that will go ahead and do our live show for you guys there. So thank you so much for joining us here on behalf of the Gold Coast Titans Frontline podcast. We absolutely appreciate all the live comments that rolled through. And if you are listening as a podcast after the fact, we appreciate your viewership as well. We will see you next Monday around the 5:30 p.m. New South Wales time, 4:30 p.m. Queensland time, to do it all over again. Have a great week ahead. And remember, go the Titans.
Go the Titans.
Cheers, Russ.
See you, mate.